At one point in this film, our 93-year-old hero remarks something like, "This has all been pretty ridiculous." The movie leans into that concept, but there's also some serious stuff at play too. Let's talk about Thelma. Hey guys, Dan here. This is Dan Reviews It. Welcome to my spoiler-free review for the new film, Thelma. This stars June Squibb and also features Richard Roundtree in his final role. He, of course, passed last year. Before we talk about Thelma, though, let me welcome you into Dan Reviews It. Thank you for finding this video. We do movie and TV reviews here on the channel, and just about every day something new goes up. So there's always a lot to check out. And with that in mind, please consider subscribing. Click that like button, comment below. All that stuff, of course, helps the channel. And check out my Letterboxd profile as well. Letterboxd is a great website to log your movies and make lists and rank things. And, I have my own profile on there that catalogs all the movies I see in my movie diary. So you can check that out in the links below. All right, so this is June Squibb's latest. She is, of course, a very heralded actress from over the years. I think she was nominated for the movie Nebraska fairly recently as well. But like I said, this also features Richard Roundtree, Clark Gregg, and Parker Posey, and as well Fred Heckinger, who I was unfamiliar with by name, but I was like, I know this guy from something. He was in the Fear Street movies on Netflix, and he's done a few other projects, but maybe that's what he's best known for. I don't know. But in any event, this movie is about this grandmother, Thelma, who is, living alone. Her husband died a couple of years ago. She's kind of lonely, but her grandson checks in on her very frequently and cares for her a lot more than he takes care of his own life. He's sort of, in limbo. He's kind of a mess. He's doing that mid-20s kind of thing where you just don't really know what you want to do for your career, and you're sort of, at a loss for yourself. But he takes great care of her, and he's, actually a really sweet kid as written. But his parents, played by Parker Posey and Clark Gregg, very, very overprotective. But anyway, this Thelma gets scammed for $10,000. She gets a phone call with a person on the other line pretending to be her grandson. And so she gets scammed for this money. She doesn't know what to do. So basically, this is a revenge tale to try and get her money back. And it was written and directed by Josh Margolin, who I'm unfamiliar with, although I do Connors reviews for the TV show The Connors, and Jody Margolin Hahn is a popular person on that with the directing. She directs like half the episodes every season, and I don't know if there's any relation with the two of them. I've not heard that name elsewhere, Margolin, but in any event, maybe not. But this was written and directed by him, and essentially this is an adventure comedy, I guess we could say, but it also does talk very, very frankly about getting old and being a senior citizen and losing your spouse, and a lot of subjects that I think don't typically get tackled in a movie like this, where the focus is on old people, but it's a comedy. Like we have all these like Diane Keaton movies like Book Club, and I just recently reviewed one called Summer Camp, where yes, it's all about sort of older women and their adventures, but it's more like silly. This is silly for sure. And like I said up top, the movie definitely leans into that ridiculousness, so that when the June Squibb character Thelma at the end does declare like, oh, this has all been pretty ridiculous, you're sitting in your seat thinking, yeah, it has been, but that's a good thing, because I think the movie knows where its strengths are, which is sort of in those more ridiculous moments. But the other side of those strengths are the family dynamic here, and its depiction of older people. And what's funny is my mom is in her early 70s, and she actually got one of these scam calls as well. She didn't send them any money, luckily. She called my brother and was like, hey, like, what's going on with this? But it was somebody pretending to be my nephew, her grandson. Same basic premise saying he was in jail and he needed money and this and that. And it turned out to be a big scam call, which I think, is just going to get worse with the AI technology and everything. But that's another subject. But in any event, I found the premise of this very relatable, since it happened, in some aspect to my own mother. So, very relatable. And then she sees Tom Cruise doing these crazy stunts in Mission Impossible. I think it was Fallout. It was the one they were watching in the movie. And she's like, if he could do this, I could do this kind of thing. And behind the scenes, June Squibb apparently said she did want to do most of her own stunts. So not that there's, tons of jumping from buildings and stuff like in Mission Impossible, but there's definitely some things that might have gotten Squibb hurt for sure. But she was game for it apparently. So listen, this is a movie that we don't really see much of because, like I said, a lot of movies with older people at the forefront that are sort of more comedic in tone do lean more towards that like Diane Keaton like silliness. Either there's a scene of the old people getting high, or there's a scene of old people doing some crazy zip line, or climbing some whatever that you'd never normally see them doing. Here, there's a motorized scooter that's a big part of their adventure. It's all fairly realistic, although the capper, once the revenge plot sort of unfolds and we learn sort of who's doing this and everything, it gets like mightily ridiculous. But again, the movie leans into that, I think. And so there's a few things about this movie that I think we don't often see. One of them is certainly the frank discussion about how elderly people feel, when they lose a spouse or feel like being a burden to their family, and all of this kind of thing. And I think this talks about it in, yes, a funny way, but a realistic way as well, which is something we don't often see in movies like this. And June Squibb, she's up for anything, I think she is about the same age as Thelma. She might be a little younger. I'm not sure if she's quite 93 in real life, but in any event, she really seems like she's having a blast here. Great to see Richard Roundtree on the screen one last time as well, in his final performance. This is a really, really good movie. It's well written. The characters, especially the grandson character, because on the surface he seems like a big screw up and whatever, but he clearly cares a lot for her, and he's making sure she's okay before he makes sure that he's okay. And I think that is a really, really endearing quality. They didn't make him this big screw up. Yeah, maybe he's got some things to figure out in his own life, but he's obviously a very caring kid, and I think that reads through the character. So I leave Thelma with an A minus, and this is one to catch. Definitely one of the brighter spots in terms of like independent films that we've had so far this year. All right, thank you for watching Dan Reviews It. We'll see you next time. Bye.